everybody, thank you for joining me today. Today I am sharing my October bullet journal setup. Now it is Halloween season and I do love spooky creepy. So I did end up going a little bit overboard with some of the elements in my setup. But before we get into that, I just wanted to talk about my supplies quickly. I used my Archer and Olive B5 dark red notebook. I also used bits and pieces of Blackout paper from the notepads. I used my Acrylographs as well in the fire brick red and the black, so I kept my color scheme very simple for Halloween, black, white and red. And then of course I have my stickers that will be available for free download for a limited time for my Blank to Brilliant subscribers in the library, which I'll link down below. I used acetate, Papermate Flare, Tombow dual brush pen, and then just the generic ruler, scissors, craft knife. I'll link to the blog post down below so that you can see more of what I used if you're curious. But let's get more into the actual setup now. I decided to keep my pull tab for this month very simple. It's very generic, very basic. It ties back to when I first started doing the pull tabs, which would have been back in February, and I'll link that up in the cards above so you can take a look. The only thing is I layered 2 pull tabs on top of each other, and that was because I wanted to have the eyes blink, and then wherever I had black, I wanted red to appear instead of the white, and kind of to give it that evil, ominous effect. And so I wanted the eyes to blink, and then as the eyelids go back up, you see the red eye revealed. So you can see me figuring it out now and playing with it now while I glue it down. I did run into some issues. I didn't cut my acetate narrow enough, so it was getting stuck in the glue. And I think if I had to do this over again, I would put a page in between the 2 pull tabs so that there's less friction and the acetate doesn't get staticky and stick together. I didn't really think about that when I was putting this together, but looking back and having done the layouts now, that is definitely one thing that I would change. So as always, I have my dashboard that I lettered on Procreate. That'll be available for Blank to Brilliant subscribers as well. So again, you can sign up for my email newsletter and get access to the library. So I swear I've tried so many different things to make sure that my camera is actually filming, and of course it didn't film my October setup. So the most important things to take away from this layout is that I use my Acrylograph over top of the Blackout paper, and it works so well and it pops so well, which is great. And then I have my Dutch door element, which is the mask. So what I did was I printed 2 versions of the mask, cut them out, stuck them on the paper on either sides, lining them up, and that way I was able to create the Dutch door for my priorities on the other side of the page. I'm so sorry that didn't film. I have no idea why. I'm definitely working on being better at my filming. So this is my tracker page, and again I'm doing 1 page of trackers and then 1 page of notes. Full disclosure, I couldn't fit my lettering onto the page enough to write trackers, so I just did tracker. And I also decided to just use one of my circle stencils from Erin Floto Designs, and that's what I will be using as my tracker. So the stencil I'm using is a little bit out there for a tracker. It's a lot of fun. I have some ideas for how I'm going to use it, and I'll definitely share that with you over on Instagram. So you can go check that out. If you're really curious, let me know. I can do a blog post about it, but I'll also link down to Erin's blog post below so that you can see how she uses it herself. So that's me tearing up my Blackout paper, and that's the stencil that you see. Now, in order to keep up with the theme of the black, white and red, I used a Sakura jelly roll in the Moonlight collection in the red to allow the tracker to pop up. And yes, that is a glue stick. I can't remember the last time I used a glue stick. And I actually used a glue stick in this layout, so super fun. Now, last time I used one of Erin's stencils, I didn't tape it down. This time I did, and it was so much easier. And there you can see where I used the red jelly roll to outline the stencil on the black paper, and it worked so well and it really popped. So I'm excited to get into the stencil and add the elements as I go. So this is my black acrylograph that I'm lettering with, and then for the tracker heading I also used the fire brick red acrylograph and the black acrylograph. So there's the sticker that I will be using throughout the October setups, and then I also used washi that's available in my store and washi strips that I have available as part of the sticker collection as well. So you can check that all out on my website that I'll link down below. So this is my priorities page. I started using this back in August, so I'll link that up in the cards above for you to check out. It's working for me somewhat. I've been really busy with kids stuff and back to school and trying to get into a routine, so I'm not using it as much as I'd like. So it's something I want to spend more time with. I definitely went overboard with this one and you're gonna see why shortly. But because I wanted so many black elements, I decided just to use my distress ink to create the background for the black instead of harvesting more pieces out of a notebook since I don't have a B5 notepad just yet. So again, this is the page where on the left hand page I have my sticky notes with my to-do list for the month, and then I move them over into the grid that you see on the right hand side of the page. So basically it's the most important priority, the next 3 important things to do, and then 5, it would be nice to get it done. And that's how this works. It's the 1-3-5 method. Again, I'll link back to my August where I first set this up and you can take a look. So this is where I decided to get a bit extra. And the reason why I stuck down the acetate was because I wanted to stick down the leaf, or sorry, the feather, and the sticky notes wouldn't stick to the feather, so that's why. And thankfully, Archer and Olive paper is so thick that it doesn't really leave much of an indent in the page, which I really liked. You'll see that when I set up my first weekly layout, it actually handled really well. I was really excited that I was able to be extra and get away with it. So one thing to note about the acrylographs, I did layer over top of the lettering to get it to pop a bit more. I probably did about 2 or 3 layers in some cases, and you just have to wait for it to dry every time, otherwise you'll just end up scratching the paint off and getting frustrated. So for October, I'm bringing the Dutch door back. I really missed having the Dutch door, and just with everything picking up so much right now, I needed the extra space, especially because I wanted to keep the memory keeping element that I've had in my journal. So I decided to cut out the Dutch door, and I wanted it to be black. And so again, I just masked off using sticky notes and then added the black ink using the distress ink and a sponge dabber. So one thing I want to note is that the acrylographs work so much better on black paper than it does on like the distress ink background, or I actually colored in the headings with a black Tombow, and it took a lot more effort to get the acrylographs to pop on top of it. So just keep that in mind. The black paper works best. Doesn't necessarily have to be from the Archer and Olive black paper, but just it's not competing with other, I guess, elements or formulas. So it just works better that way on the black paper versus Tombow or the distress ink. So in order to create some cohesion among my layouts, I decided to add this bottom element, and I really like how it came out. I didn't like the way I'd let it October. It wasn't very even, it wasn't very straight. So I decided to redo it. So I just stuck some paper over top of it and tried again. As always, I will be putting my Alistair method task list on the right hand side of the page, and that's underneath the Dutch door element, and on the back I will be putting my memory keeping. I'll be sharing the completed layout to my Instagram so you can check that out. And thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate you being here. If you like my content, I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll just be bringing you more content and bullet journal content as well as reviews. Thank you so much for watching today. Make sure to stay to the end where I do my full flip through. Have a great day.